Hey, buenos dias, ¿qué pasó, you guys? John's Moto Garage. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to bring you a side-by-side comparison, Indian versus Harley Davidson, the two classic rivals. And this is obviously not an apples to apples comparison. We're looking at here a 2021 FTR 1200 carbon. Beautiful motorcycle by Indian. This is like a flat track racer replica that Indian Motorcycle sent me out. I've had this bike for like 6-7 months. Probably have to give it back soon, but it's been a blast. And then over here we have a 2000 Harley Davidson Dyna FXDX. I'll show you some clips of the bikes in action. I'll fire them up and all that good stuff. All right, so let's do some basic breakdown and features on the two motorcycles. Harley Davidson, this is a 2000 Harley Dyna FXDX Super Glide Sport. It's an 88 cubic inch air-cooled 5-speed. The bike weighs 662 pounds plus or minus dry, so wet weight is going to be obviously a little bit heavier than that. About 67.5 horsepower and about 78 foot-pounds of torque. This is obviously from the factory, a cruiser motorcycle, carbureted. You do have the dual discs in the front. I have it set up with, you know, aftermarket exhaust, Olin suspension, chain conversion, saddleman seat. Cut the rear fender. We've got a titanium scrape plate there for the wheelies. Dynamite Crew 6.5 inch risers, pullbacks, stock bars. So it's important to know I set this thing up for Harley wheelies, so that's primarily what I try to do on the Dyna here. Moving over to the Indian, it's a 2021 or 22, I forget off the top of my head, Indian FTR 1200 carbon. This bike weighs in at about 515 pounds wet, I believe. 120 horsepower, and I think something like, I want to say 85 foot-pounds of torque off the top of my head, and about 120 horsepower. So obviously this bike's a lot lighter. This bike, the Indian, is set up more aggressive ergonomics, kind of like cafe racer, flat track style, whereas the Dyna is going to be more cruiser. Both of these bikes are capable of ripping wheelies, doing donuts, and going fast. The Indian, hands down, is a better handling bike. It's going to be more comfortable at the higher speeds, ripping around town. Long distance, the Harley's gonna be a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, let's fire the bikes up so you can listen to the difference. This is like the modern new school versus the old school. This one just has a push start. Here's a cold start on the Indian. I haven't ridden this thing in a while, so super cold start. All right, no guarantees I'll be able to fire up the Harley, but we'll give it a shot. Cold start on the Harley. I'll admit the Harley's sounding a little rough. Haven't ridden that thing in a while. All right, so there's the two bikes. Obviously two totally different looking bikes. They sound totally different as well. And one thing I'm going to speak to is the personality of each motorcycle. The Indian, from my experience riding it, it's like a hooligan, just rip around, crazy machine. It's totally capable. It handles extremely well. It looks cool. It's got a nice feel to it. When you get on the, you know, open up the throttle, you can still feel some of that personality of the V-twin engine, but you still have all the modern creature comforts on the motorcycle with the screen, the touch screen, you know, cruise control, all that kind of thing. So definitely a lot to like on the Indian. Some complaints that I've heard with the Indian, even with that Akrapovic exhaust, the exhaust, it could be opened up a little bit, but throw it on aftermarket and these things sound super gnarly. So all right, the Harley Davidson, this bike to me is like an old classic muscle car, even though it's not that old. It just has that classic raw feel to it. The thing freaking rattles and it rumbles and it sounds crazy, and so it's a unique personality and it's a blast. It's just in its own way. The bike is not meant to be on one wheel, but it feels freaking awesome getting that bike to balance point and just tipping it back, ripping a wheelie on it, doing donuts on this bike. It's just a ton of fun, and you kind of have that wow factor because it's not meant to be doing that. Anyway, both really cool motorcycles. Drop a comment below, let me know, for you, would you rip the Indian or the Harley? Which one do you like more and why? Drop a comment below. Like and subscribe if you dig the content. I appreciate all the support. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Adios, hasta luego. Nos vemos.